Hi, fourth grade, and welcome back to Math with Mr. G. Today I'm here for Math Week 5, Day 5. Today is our last day so far with working on these multi-step word problems. We'll, of course, be revisiting these later in the year as we gain more abilities and more strategies and more understanding of some of our operations like multiplication and division, of course, with fractions and decimals way at the end of the year. But this is a really good understanding and basis that you'll have at this point of these multi-step problems. And understanding how you can use the cubes method, you can use charts, etc., to really solve these, even ones that might be, more difficult than you've anticipated. You can get them very well handled to an extent with just even these simple strategies. So let's get started with this first one here. And of course, we'll get to our cubes method here. I'm going to do it over here on the left. Oh, did not mean to have a box. There we go. So cubes, like so. Okay. Artist Michelangelo was born on March 6, 1475. Author Mem Fox, someone's name, was born on March 6, 1946. How many years after Michelangelo was born was Fox born? Okay, let's use our cubes. So let's circle. We're dealing with 1475, and we're dealing with 1946. Okay, notice that I'm not circling March 6th. They're on the exact same day, so we don't have to worry about days at all. We only have to worry about years. So they're born on the same day, but many years apart. There we go. Okay, let's underline our important information. We're underlining how many, so that's what we're looking for, and we're working with years, and then after. After is a key word here. I'm going to be finding the difference, which means I'm actually going to be subtracting these two. Let's box what's being asked, and I always do that in red, like so. Let's eliminate. Okay. Now let's solve. So I'm going to take 1,946, so the years at this point. I'm going to subtract is 1,475. So notice that I'm putting the comma in here. When you do years, you don't ever put a comma, but because we're doing it in subtraction, I'm going to put the comma in. You wouldn't get this wrong if you didn't, just because we are dealing with years, but it just makes more sense for us who are still developing our, our numeracy skills to have those commas there. 6 minus 5 is 1. I can't do 4 minus 7, so I need to borrow. This is 8. This is now 14. 14 minus 7 is 7. 8 minus 4 is 4. 1 minus 0 is nothing. So 471. So how many years after Michelangelo was born was Fox born? Fox was born 471 years after Michelangelo. All right, let's circle answer in red. Awesome. Okay. Let's go to the next. Let's put our cubes on the side over here on the left. Okay. During the month of March, 68,025 pounds of king crab were caught. If 15,614 pounds were caught in the first week of March, how many pounds were caught in the rest of the month? Okay, so let's circle. So we're dealing with 68,025, 15,614. Now let's underline. We're dealing with pounds. That's our unit. And we're looking for how many, and it's saying in the rest of the month. When you hear like the rest of, more often than not, you're going to be subtracting. Because you have a total, in this case 68,025, and you're subtracting this piece that you already know from it, finding the difference. So this is definitely going to be a subtraction problem with that keyword there. Let's box what's being asked of us to solve. Let's eliminate. Eliminate this. And I can eliminate this. Now let's solve. So I have 68,025. I'm subtracting 15,614. Okay, 5 minus 4 is 1. 2 minus 1 is 1. I can't do 0 minus 6, of course. I need to borrow. This is a 7 now. This becomes a 10. 10 minus 6 is 4. 7 minus 5 is 2. 6 minus 1 is 5. Okay, so how many pounds are caught in the rest of the month? 52,411 pounds were caught. Excellent. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay. Let's put our cubes here on the side. James bought a used car. After driving exactly 9,050 miles, the odometer, so that's what in your car reads how many miles you've gone as a total vehicle, reads 118,064 miles. What was the odometer reading when James bought the car? Okay, this is going to be very similar to our last one. We have a total, we'll be subtracting from it. But let's circle, underline box, eliminate, and solve. So cubes. So 9,050 miles, 118,064 miles. Let's underline our unit is miles. And what was the odometer reading when James bought the car? So this when kind of tells me I'm going into the past, which tells me I'm going to be subtracting, finding the difference. At least in this specific one. This isn't, a statement for every word problem, but in this one, because we're going into the past, we have to find the difference between the two, which tells me I'm subtracting. Let's box what's being asked of us to solve. So what we're reading when James bought the car. Eliminate. You can eliminate that he bought a used car. We don't care about that at this point. Now let's solve. So I have 118,064 miles currently, but that's after, of course. I guess you could say, going back, that after also tells me I'm subtracting. That's after he's already driven 9,050 miles. Okay, now we can subtract, find the difference. 4 minus 0 is 4. 6 minus 5 is 1. 0 minus 0 is 0. I can't do 8 minus 9, so I have to borrow. This is 0. This is out an 18. 18 minus 9 is 9. 0 minus nothing is 0. And 1 minus nothing is 1. So how many miles was the odometer reading when he first bought the car? The odometer read 109,014 miles. Like so. Cool. Okay. Now, of course, if you follow along this long, I'm going to go over one of our assessment questions to make that just a little easier for you guys, and of course, as a reward for following along so far. So let's cubes this and read it. Excuse me. Jenny makes quilts. She can make 7 quilts with 21 yards of material. How many yards of material will be required to make 12 quilts? Okay, let's break this apart. Let's circle the important numbers. So she can make 7 quilts with 21 yards. And we're looking for 12 quilts here. Let's underline important things. So quilts in yards are our units. Like so. So there isn't any exact clue words. I'm going to dive into this a little more closely after we cube this to kind of help flesh this out. In a box that's being asked. So let's eliminate. I don't care that she's making quilts. In terms of solving it, I'm sure they're very nice. Now let's solve. So let's look at this. I'll even put just a little chart here to organize some information. So we know that seven quilts takes 21 yards. Okay. We're looking for 12 quilts. And we need to find out, how many yards for 12, right? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to first need to solve how many yards one quilt is. How are we going to do that? Well, let's look at 7 to 21. If you guys remember your factors, 7 is actually one of the factors for 21. So let's look at a factor tree for 21. So we have 1 and 21. And then we have 3 and 7. So I know for this that one quilt, right? One quilt's going to take me about 3 yards. And to even prove that more, we could create a multiples list as well to establish this. So let's say, 7 times 3 with multiples here. So there's 7 quilts. Each one is 3 yards, right? And that would give us 21 yards. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply again, because now I have 12 quilts. And each of those quilts costs 3 yards to make. So 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 1 is 3. So how many yards are 12 quilts? 36 yards. This is definitely a more difficult one. This kind of involves us, I think, outside of the box. This is one you could also draw a picture for. You could draw the quilts out. I'm a big fan of charts as always, but this is one that's going to take you to kind of wrap your brain around it and to kind of understand how these numbers interplay with each other. As always, I look forward to seeing your work, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.